Discover the incredible moment a shivering girl found hope. A child's heartwarming plea changed everything. It was a frigid winter evening, the kind that wrapped the town in a thick blanket of silence, broken only by the crunch of snow beneath Ellie's boots. She was just 12, but her heart was big enough to take on the world, or at least this harsh Midwestern town. With her spirited brown curls bouncing against her cheeks and bright blue eyes sparkling like the evening sky, Ellie marched home, her breath clouding in the air. As she trudged through the blanket of white, a soft whimper pierced the cold stillness. Stopping in her tracks, Ellie turned, her heart racing. From beneath a prickly bush, she spotted a tiny puppy, shivering and alone, his ribs showing through matted fur. It was a heartbreaking sight. Ellie's chest tightened as compassion took root in her soul. She knelt in the snow, reaching out a trembling hand toward the little creature. "Oh, you poor thing," she whispered, as if her words could warm him. That moment ignited a fierce determination within her. "I have to save him," she declared, her voice shaking but resolute. She envisioned this puppy becoming part of their family, snuggled by the fireplace, tails wagging amidst the laughter of her little brother. The thought filled her with hope. She would not just save this puppy, she would breathe life back into both their spirits. Inspired, Ellie turned her focus to her community. It wasn't just about saving one life, it was a call to unite in compassion. She set out to gather donations, her mind racing with possibilities. But as she ventured from the corner store to the diner, her heart sank. "Sorry, kid," the old man behind the counter grunted, his eyes glossing over her, dismissing her before she even spoke. Each rejection felt like a dagger to her heart. Laughter filled the cafe, but it seemed to mock her. It wasn't just about the puppy, it was the unyielding silence lurking beneath their smiles, a reminder of their own struggles, their own prejudices. At home, the air grew thick with tension. Ellie's excitement dimmed when she brought up the idea of a fundraising event. Her mother's normally kind blue eyes hardened momentarily. "Ellie, we can't. We're barely making it as it is." The weight of poverty etched deep lines on her mother's face, lines that spoke of sleepless nights and sacrifice. Frustration bubbled over. "But Mom, this isn't just about us. It's about helping someone who needs it." Words flew like arrows, and in that moment, love turned to hurt. The bond they shared, so often a source of comfort, felt strained and heavy. As the holidays approached, the local community center announced a potluck, and Ellie saw her chance. Standing up in front of her neighbors and friends, she prepared herself for the hardest moment of her young life. Clearing her throat, she felt the weight of their gazes, saw the doubt lurking in their eyes. "I found a puppy," she began, her voice trembling slightly. "He was alone, just like many of us feel sometimes." Tears filled her eyes, but she pressed on, sharing her belief in the goodness of humanity, in their ability to help each other despite their struggles. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." A pregnant pause filled the room as she finished. Doubt hung heavy in the air, until a hesitant voice cut through. Maybe we should help." A ripple of murmurs spread throughout the crowd, hope sparking where there had once been silence. Just as warmth began to wrap around them, a figure appeared at the back of the room, unseen until now, stirring the air and leaving Ellie poised on the edge of a revelation that could change everything. What would happen next? Would her community finally see what she saw, the power to uplift one another, even in their hardest times? Ellie's heart raced as the figure stepped into view. It was Mrs. Henderson, the elderly woman who lived at the end of the street. The townsfolk often whispered about her, referring to her as a crazy cat lady, because of the dozens of stray cats she took care of. But Ellie knew there was more to her than that. There was kindness hidden beneath her eccentricity. "Hello, Ellie," Mrs. Henderson said, her voice warm like the flickering candles on a frosty night. "I heard your story. I've been meaning to talk to you." As she walked closer, the dim light from the old chandelier caught the lines of age on her face, giving her the appearance of a wise guardian. The room grew quieter, all eyes now on the old woman, and for a moment Ellie felt a surge of urgency. Would Mrs. Henderson join her cause, or would she be yet another person to walk away? "I know it's tough," Mrs. Henderson continued, glancing around the room and meeting different faces with a steady gaze. "But I've always believed that we can change lives with small acts of kindness." She reached into her oversized coat pocket and pulled out a worn leather wallet. "I may not have much, but I'd like to help. Here's what I can offer." The rustling of bills filled the air as she handed Ellie a crumpled $10 bill. It wasn't much, but the gesture pulled at everyone's heartstrings. A quiet ripple of reflection passed across the crowd, awakening a wave of shared humanity that had been dormant for too long. Ellie, feeling a rush of gratitude, took the bill with shaking fingers. "Thank you, Mrs. Henderson. This is amazing. We can get supplies and food for the puppy." She looked around at the faces illuminated by hope, and something beautiful bloomed inside her. Each one seemed to start really seeing her, not only as a girl with an idea, but as a vessel of possibility. As Ellie spoke, others began to nod along, murmuring agreement. "If we all pitch in just a little, we can make a big difference," a deep voice called out from the back. It was Mr. Thompson, the owner of the local bakery, who had always been known for his hearty pastries and kind gestures. "I'll donate some dog treats from my shop." A small cheer broke out. Ellie felt warmth in her chest, like a flame igniting as more people joined in. A few others stood up, promising to bring blankets, contacts for local veterinarians, and even dog food, sparked by Mrs. Henderson's leap of faith. Just then, Ellie's little brother, Max, who had been quiet the whole time, raised his hand. "Can we build a little house for him, too? So he doesn't get cold anymore?" His innocent suggestion hung in the air like a golden thread, weaving them all closer together. Laughter and chatter began to fill the room, transforming the atmosphere. Ellie's face broke into a smile, brighter than the winter sun. The shadows of doubt faded, and for that moment, they were united by a shared mission. She could see that the community was waking up. This was bigger than just her and the puppy, it was about all of them, rediscovering the power of togetherness. But just as Ellie believed they were on the verge of something incredible, she glanced toward the door and saw a shadow standing there. A figure she never expected to see: her estranged father, face etched with uncertainty and regret. Her heart lurched, torn between disbelief and hope. What did this mean? Would he come to support her cause or disrupt everything she had fought for? With questions swirling in her mind, Ellie took a deep breath. The night was about to change once more, and she was ready to find out how far this journey would take her. The room fell quiet as Ellie's eyes locked with her father's. Memories flooded her mind: the laughter they once shared, the fights that shattered their bond, the emptiness that followed. She hadn't seen him in years. Now, he stood there, looking vulnerable yet determined. "Dad?" Her voice wavered. She wasn't sure if she should be excited, angry, or afraid. "Ellie." His voice cracked like old glass. He stepped forward as if he were afraid the moment might vanish if he moved too quickly. I heard about what you're doing. I wanted to see if I could help." A chorus of murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some faces turned skeptical, while others lit up with curiosity. Ellie's heart swung between hope and uncertainty. Did he truly want to be part of her life again, or was this just a fleeting impulse? "Help?" she echoed, gripping the $10 bill from Mrs. Henderson like a lifeline. "You've been gone for so long. Why now?" "I know I've made mistakes," he replied, his eyes softening as he looked at the crowd, then back to her. "But I've changed. I want to be there for you, Ellie. I heard about the puppy and what you're doing for him. I'd like to help if you'll let me." Without breaking eye contact, Ellie felt the warmth of encouragement swell around her, the support of her neighbors turning into a chorus of "You can do this." Every heartbeat felt like an echo of shared history, pain, and an opportunity for something fresh. "Okay," she said finally, surprising herself with the sound of her own voice. "If you really want to help, then let us do this together." A mix of surprise and acceptance spread across the room. Not everyone was convinced. Ellie could see the doubt in their eyes. Yet, smiles began to sprout, the kind that hinted at deeper stories waiting to emerge. It felt like healing. "Why don't you share what you have in mind?" Mr. Thompson prompted, breaking the silence. There was a cautious optimism in his tone, urging others to look past Ellie's father's absence and focus on unity. Her dad's gaze shifted around the room, he seemed to be gauging their reactions. "I can set up a fund," he began. "Maybe even a small fundraiser to get more supplies. I know people. I have connections that could help us." Ellie felt a wave of disbelief wash over her. He voiced the idea that had floated through her head, yet her heart remained tied with the fear of letting him back in. What if this was just another disappointment waiting to happen? "Every effort counts," Mrs. Henderson chimed in, her voice steady and comforting. "It's never too late to start anew, for anyone." Ellie could see the sincerity in her father's eyes, the flicker of genuine hope amidst uncertainty. He really wanted this, and as heartwarming murmurs filled the space, she felt her own defenses slowly crumbling. "Okay, Dad," she whispered, surprised by the courage swelling inside her. "Let's try. Just be honest this time." The smiles in the room started to blend with an overwhelming warmth that filled Ellie's heart. It was a strange mix of trust and uncertainty, but it was a start. That small, broken bond they could stitch together again. As they all began to brainstorm ideas, her father nodded encouragingly, and Ellie could see the flicker of gratitude in his eyes. Maybe this journey wasn't just about saving a puppy after all. It was about saving a family too. But just as the excitement built and plans formed, the flickering lights overhead dimmed suddenly, an unmistakable sign that something was about to change once more. A moment of silence set in. Ellie felt the room turn uncertain, her heart raced again. What was coming now, and would it tear them apart or reshape everything they had started to build? The room was holding its breath, anticipating the next twist in their journey. Ellie felt her heart jump in her chest as the lights flickered, casting shadows that danced across the walls. It was more than just a power outage, it felt like a pause, a moment suspended in time. She glanced at her father, who looked just as unnerved as she felt. Was this the universe testing them again? "Stay calm, everyone," Mr. Thompson's voice resonated through the stillness. "Let us just give it a second." Ellie's thoughts spiraled. She had just made the biggest leap of faith by letting her father back into her life. Could this really be a sign, or was it just a coincidence? The silence felt thick, even the murmurs of the crowd faded into a hush, as if everyone sensed the tension. Her father took a step closer, his hand brushing past the side of her arm, and in that fleeting connection, Ellie could feel warmth wrestling against the chill of doubt. "Ellie, is it all right if we talk outside for a moment?" he asked softly, his eyes pleading for her trust. She hesitated but nodded, the urge to escape the heightened atmosphere pulling at her. Maybe fresh air could clear their minds, and they could come back ready to face whatever was coming next. As they stepped outside, the weight of the moment buzzed in the air. The sun was beginning to dip behind the horizon, painting the sky in strokes of orange and pink. It felt as if the world was holding its breath, just like inside the community hall. "Look," her father began, stuffing his hands in his jacket pocket. "I know this is a lot. But I want you to know I'm serious about making things right. I want to be part of your life, really be there for you." Ellie's heart weighed heavily in her chest. "And what if you just disappear again? What if it's all just words?" "I get it. I can't change the past, but I can promise to work for the future." The sincerity in his eyes made her feel like he genuinely wanted to reach her. She looked away to take in the setting sun, letting its fading rays wash over her. "You know, it's not just about you and me anymore. There's the puppy, too. And the fundraiser. If we mess this up, it could be for nothing. He stepped closer, unwavering. We're in this together, and I'll do everything I can to make sure you feel supported. How about we come back in and tell everyone we're committed to it? Together. Ellie hesitated again. Her mind wrestled with fear and hope. Together, she murmured, and the words seemed to hold both promise and peril. Suddenly, the lights in the hall flickered back to life, spilling light onto the porch and around them. The warmth washed over Ellie like a comforting blanket, but the anxiety in her stomach didn't fade. Walking back inside, she felt like a tightrope walker balanced between two cliffs, one side filled with trust, the other with fear of falling. The crowd turned to them, their expressions a mix of curiosity and lively expectation. Ellie. Is everything okay? Mrs. Henderson called out, her voice full of concern. It was like an anchor, grounding Ellie amidst the swirling chaos in her mind. Yes, Ellie said, feeling a surge of conviction. We're okay. The room erupted in applause, but Ellie's heart clenched. This was the beginning, and with it came the weight of possibility. Her father smiled at her, a flicker of hope lighting up his expression. Yet, deep down, Ellie couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the calm before a storm. A shadow loomed over the joy that buzzed in the hall. The uncertainty of what the future held clung to her like a shroud. As plans began to unfold and ideas bounced around the room, Ellie couldn't help but wonder what hidden challenges lay ahead. And was she truly ready to face them with her dad at her side? A sudden noise from the back of the hall, a crash that shattered the excitement, sent everyone spinning around, eyes wide. What had happened? Would they be able to strengthen their bond? Or would this new obstacle push them apart once more? The sound of shuffling and scattering chairs filled the air as everyone turned, uncertain of what lay ahead. A group of teenagers had knocked over a table filled with brightly colored donation flyers and shiny brochures. The noise echoed against the walls, sharp and jarring, drawing collective gasps from the crowd. Ellie's breath caught in her throat, and she instinctively glanced at her father, who immediately moved toward the chaos, his expression a mix of concern and urgency. Are you guys okay? He called out, his voice reassuring. In the chaotic moment, her heart raced. This was the first real test for them, and with each step he took, it felt like a leap deeper into their newfound connection. The teens quickly scrambled back, more embarrassed than hurt, trying to gather the scattered materials, but their clumsiness only made the scene even more chaotic. Here, let me help, Ellie jumped in, rushing to join her father. She could see the spark of camaraderie flicker between them as they began picking up the flyers and straightening things out. They exchanged glances, and in that brief moment, Ellie realized they were a team. After a few moments, the noise subsided, and laughter erupted from the group as they made light of the situation, dusting themselves off. Guess we got a little carried away with our excitement. One of the boys joked, and the tension began to lift. Her father chuckled, brushing his hands off. Seems like we all have a little bit of clumsiness in us, he said, smiling at the teens. The shared laughter felt like a bridge connecting their past and present. The anxiety that had woven through the halls began to dissolve, replaced by a lightness Ellie hadn't expected to feel so soon, but then she noticed Mrs. Henderson's expression. The apprehension returned, flickering in her eyes as she looked toward the donation table. We can't afford any more mishaps, people, she cautioned, her tone serious. The fundraiser is too important. Ellie's heart sank. The weight of their mission was starting to press down again, sharper this time. She shared a quick look with her father, silently acknowledging the pressure they faced. But watching him handle the situation with grace sparked something within her. She could choose to be part of this team, this family. Let us come together and make sure things go smoothly, Ellie piped up, finding her voice. We've got the puppy to focus on, and we need everyone's enthusiasm. She felt the warmth of hope swell within her as the group nodded in agreement. Maybe we can even have a puppy parade or a contest. The energy shifted again, everyone animated by Ellie's idea. Conversations flowed, buzzing with excitement and possibility. Her father's proud smile ignited a new sense of purpose within her. For the first time, she felt a flicker of faith maybe they could move beyond their past, but just as discussions about the puppy fundraiser gained momentum, a loud bang sounded from the back of the room. This time, it wasn't a table, but the main door swung open, and a figure stepped inside. The sunlight framed the newcomer like an omen, casting a long shadow that blanketed the crowd with a fresh wave of uncertainty. Ellie's heart raced. Who were they? What could this new presence mean for their little team, the bond they were starting to form? She exchanged a worried glance with her father, the moment stretching out like the silence before a downpour. This had turned into more than just a fundraiser. Now it felt like a test of everything they had just started rebuilding together. What was about to break the fragile peace they had fought to create? And would it draw them closer or pull them apart once again? The figure that filled the doorway stepped forward, revealing a girl, not much older than Ellie. Her hair was wild, a cascade of tangled curls, and her clothes were a mismatched collection of oversized layers. The sunlight caught her timid eyes, setting them ablaze with uncertainty. The murmurs in the room gradually faded, giving way to an almost palpable tension. "Hi," she stuttered, her voice barely above a whisper. She looked around at the crowd, her gaze darting from one face to another, finally settling on Ellie and her father. I heard about the fundraiser. I'm looking for help." Ellie froze. The word help hung in the air like a lifeline thrown into rough waters. She sensed a deeper story hiding behind the girl's words. Her father stepped forward with a reassuring smile as if guiding a lost child home. "We're here to support, whatever you need," he said, his voice soft yet steady. The girl fidgeted, twisting the hem of her oversized sweater. I have a puppy. Well, a stray. I found it hungry outside my school last week. I thought the fundraiser could help me find him a good home." Her hands trembled, revealing the seriousness of her plea. "But I don't know how to take care of him, or even if I should." Ellie's heart surged with compassion. She could see the weight of the world resting on this girl's small shoulders. Unspoken fears wrapped tightly around her, just as Ellie had once felt. In that moment, the fundraiser morphed into something more profound, a chance to offer support, to connect over that shared sense of vulnerability, and perhaps to heal. "I can help you," Ellie found herself saying. It felt natural, like breathing. "We can run a special adoption event. People can come and meet the puppies." The girl's eyes brightened, the shadow beneath them lifting ever so slightly. "Really? You do that?" "Of course." Ellie nodded, as the words flowed from her, empowered by the intimate connection forming before her. "We can set up a doggy playdate and raise awareness. Plus, everyone loves puppies." Mrs. Henderson, who had been watching silently, stepped forward to join in. "This sounds like a wonderful idea. If there's a chance to help both Ellie's efforts and this girl, we need to take it." She turned to the crowd. "Let us come together, everyone. We have an amazing opportunity to do good." The energy shifted again, this time with a stronger current of hope. Murmurs of excitement rippled through the room, and Ellie could see smiles breaking out like the dawn after a long night. Ellie turned to the girl, who was now standing a little bit taller. "What's your name?" "Lucy," she managed before a smile spread across her face, transforming her apprehension into a glimmer of hope. Just as plans began to form, the atmosphere buzzed anew with the crowd's energy. Then, abruptly, a loud thud echoed again, followed by another familiar sound, the flop of fabric hitting the ground. The door swung wide once more, startling everyone as a group of men in uniforms marched in, their eyes scanning the room, heavy with authority. Ellie's heart sank. What did this mean? Would this bring more trouble? Did they even know about the good they were trying to do? The room quieted, uncertainty wrapping around the crowd like a thick fog. What would happen next? Would the fundraiser dissolve under the weight of unexpected complications? The men in uniforms moved with a purpose. Their presence was imposing, an urgency radiating from their sharp uniforms that felt like a storm gathering in the distance. The murmurs in the crowd morphed into hushed whispers, each person exchanging nervous glances. Ellie's eyes flitted from Lucy to the officers, her heart racing. "Stay calm," her father whispered, squeezing her hand. He met her gaze with a reassuring nod. She hoped it would be enough to bolster her own wavering spirit. "Excuse us," one of the officers said, his authoritative voice cutting through the thick tension. "We're investigating a report of a lost dog in the area." The room held its breath, the collective concern for Lucy and her stray puppy palpable. Ellie instinctively knew that Lucy's situation was now at the center of a storm. "Do you have any information about the puppy?" the second officer asked, a young man with kind eyes who seemed to soften the severity of the situation. "We need to gather details from anyone who might have seen it." Lucy's expression shifted. Fear chased the glimmer of hope from her face, replaced by uncertainty. "I found him outside my school. He was hungry, and really scared." Her voice wavered, but she pressed on. "I want to keep him safe. I think he deserves a home." Ellie felt a wave of protective instinct rise within her. "He's in good hands," she interjected, urgency pushing her words out. "Today, we're planning an event to help puppies like him find homes." The crowd began to murmur in agreement. Mrs. Henderson stepped up beside Lucy, fists clenched but determined. "This is about more than just a dog, it's about our community coming together," she added, her voice ringing with conviction. "These men will want to hear what we have planned." The young officer nodded, seemingly reassured by the growing energy in the room. "We want to help, too. If we can rally support, more people will know about this lost puppy and we can help find him." A spark ignited as Ellie scanned the crowd. Even in a moment suspended by worry, there was a shared understanding. A collective heartbeat. One that yearned for connection and care. "Let us spread the word," Ellie said, her voice strong with newfound courage. "We can put up flyers, share on social media, anything. We can show everyone what it means to help." Lucy's face lit up, uncertainty melting away. She looked at Ellie, a friend born from a moment of vulnerability. "Do you really think we can save him?" "We can." Ellie insisted, the warmth flooding her heart as she looked around the room, witnessing an outpour of support. Several people were already reaching for their phones, excitedly brainstorming new ideas. The young officer raised his hand to get their attention. "Great energy. We can also step in to help, but we need everyone's cooperation. If anyone has seen a dog fitting a certain description, please, step forward." As the room buzzed with chatter and hopeful conversation, Ellie caught Lucy's eye. For the first time, she saw a flicker of brightness reflecting the laughter and determination of the crowd around her. Just then, a third officer, older and serious-looking, cleared his throat loudly. "We need to sort through the details. We don't want anyone to get in trouble." Ellie's heart tightened. What if someone got scared and the whole event fell apart? What if they turned away from the puppy instead of embracing the community? "Wait!" Ellie shouted, her voice carrying over the chaos. Her heart raced. What if we all stood together? This isn't just about the puppy, it's about us. Helping is what we do. As anticipation held the crowd captive, she wondered, would the uniformed men understand the impact of a puppy on a community? Would they let the good in the room shine brighter than the fear? That glimpse of hope felt fragile, but it was there. And in that single moment, Ellie realized she would do anything to protect that light. "Let us show them this is our home," she whispered to Lucy, but inside she wondered if they had the strength to fight for the puppy and for themselves. What would happen if they decided to take a stand? As the officer's harsh voice settled over the crowd, Ellie felt a wave of determination wash over her. She glanced at Lucy, whose wide eyes seemed to reflect every emotion swirling in the room. It was as if the air had thickened, electrified by a shared purpose. Ellie took a deep breath, steadying her nerves. "Let us everyone stand together for Lucy and her puppy," she called out, her voice rising above the murmurs. "We need each other now more than ever." Around them, people began to stir. Moments earlier, anxiety had permeated the air, but now, propelled by Ellie's words, hands shot up, signaling agreement. The young officer smiled, visibly impressed by the surge of enthusiasm. Ellie grinned back, her heart lifting. Together, they could draw strength from this community, pulled together in a way that meant something. She imagined flyers popping up around town, cars honking as neighbors scanned the streets for the lost dog, and social media buzzing with shared posts dedicated to the sweet puppy who brought them all here. Lucy, emboldened by Ellie's support and the crowd's energy, stepped forward. "Okay, I can describe him. He has fluffy white fur, with a little patch of brown on his ear. And he has this adorable wagging tail," she explained, her voice trembling initially but growing steadier with each word. "That's great, Lucy," the sympathetic officer said, jotting down notes. "Can anyone here remember seeing a puppy matching that description?" A few hands raised, and Ellie felt her heart swell with hope. People were responding, stepping up to be part of something bigger. A woman wearing a green jacket grinned wide as she recognized the puppy from a recent walk. "I saw him last week. He was playing in the park, running after a frisbee." Good. "Every detail helps," the young officer replied, his kind eyes sparkling with eagerness. As people exchanged stories and shared sightings, Ellie marveled at how quickly the mood shifted. The worry that had initially engulfed them was now replaced by a vibrant energy. People were laughing, hope bubbling up in the form of plans for search parties, more sharing over social media, and even organizing a little bake sale to raise money for the local shelter. Mrs. Henderson took charge, directing everyone with a vigor that impressed Ellie. "All right, we're going to post flyers at the cafe, the pharmacy, and we'll even create a Facebook event. We're turning this into a neighborhood mission. Everyone can help. Let us get a group together for search parties this afternoon," someone else shouted, and cheers erupted in agreement. But as excitement erupted, a shadow flickered over Ellie. What if their efforts weren't enough? Her stomach twisted as doubt crept in. "Do you really think we'll find him?" she whispered hesitantly to Lucy, who stood bright-eyed, driven by the fervor of the crowd. "Yes," Lucy replied, her smile unwavering. "If we all work together, we can do it." Ellie nodded, her heart aching with warmth at Lucy's belief. It felt like magic, this sense of unity, like they really could change everything, even if only for one frightened puppy. Then the third officer adjusted his glasses and finally spoke up, drawing attention. "We'll coordinate with animal control to cover more ground. We can't promise anything right now, but we'll do our best to help you find him." "Thank you," a nearby neighbor called, the deep gratitude in her voice resonating through the gathering. Ellie felt the swell of hope surge again, but as she clutched Lucy's hand tighter, she couldn't shake the concern looming in her heart. What if they faced an even bigger challenge ahead? What would they do if the puppy didn't come home? With those heavy thoughts, Ellie took a deep breath, setting her jaw with resolve. They wouldn't back down easily. They would fight for that puppy. But as they prepared to launch their mission, the more pressing question loomed larger: what sacrifices would be required to bring him back home? Ellie could feel the steady pulse of determination in the air as they began organizing into groups. It only took a few moments, but suddenly the entire crowd felt like a well-oiled machine, surging with energy and purpose. Flyers were being quickly sketched out, bright colors popping against the once dull atmosphere. The little community square now buzzed with laughter, banter, and something stronger: hope. "Lucy! Come here!" Mrs. Henderson called. Lucy was still standing close to Ellie, her eyes sparkling with a mixture of excitement and worry. Ellie felt it too, an undercurrent of anxiety beneath the vibrant energy. They had all come together, but the real challenge still lay ahead. As Lucy approached, Mrs. Henderson bent down to her eye level. "How about we make sure everyone in town gets to see that puppy's face? Let's take your drawing and find a lot of places to hang it," she said, holding out a piece of paper covered in Lucy's special artwork, her puppy's ears standing tall and proud, the big, dark eyes sparkling like they could see the world. Lucy nodded eagerly. "Yes. I want everyone to see how cute he is. Maybe he's just lost and can't find his way back home. Her voice grew a bit louder as she caught the attention of people around her. Exactly. Ellie encouraged, her heart swelled as Lucy spoke. We'll use your drawing to help guide him back here. He will know we're looking for him. The beauty of Lucy's spirit radiated through the crowd. The neighbors around them smiled, some even wiping away tears. It was awe-inspiring how such a small child could galvanize an entire community with her simple plea for help. Before they could get started, an unexpected voice rang out. What if we also call the local radio station? They can help us get the word out even faster. A few murmurs echoed in agreement. Then Ellie raised her voice, hopeful. And how about we make a social media page just for this search? Post updates and ideas there too. More enthusiastic voices chimed in, and Lucy beamed with pride. Ellie took a moment to step back and observe. This heartfelt movement was more than just a search for a puppy. It was a coming together, a representation of their little town's spirit. A ripple of warmth washed over her, then, as they gathered in small teams, one heading toward the park, another planning to cover nearby neighborhoods. Ellie's eyes wandered across the street, where the "Help Wanted" sign hung in a shop window. She thought of her own struggles and the sacrifices she had made to keep her life together. The creeping doubt returned. What if the puppy formed a bigger challenge than just fear? What if it stripped away the comforting veneer of their community? But Lucy's steady confidence pulled Ellie back. They couldn't think like that. They had to channel their energy into finding Lucy's puppy. All right, everyone, shouted the young officer from earlier. A hush fell over the crowd. We're all in this together. Let's make sure we spread out, cover as much ground as possible, and keep spirits high. Let's do it. Someone shouted, and cheers erupted once more. With excitement bubbling in the air, each team went in different directions. As they marched toward possible sites of success, Ellie couldn't help glancing back at Lucy, who wore a determined expression. It was pure resilience, and it tugged at something deep in Ellie's heart. What if we don't find him, she suddenly thought. The inexplicable fear gripped her again. The uncertainty loomed heavy, tethered to the sweet child's earnest aspirations. Just then, Lucy took Ellie's hand and squeezed it. We will find him. I believe that. The purity of that belief sparked something deep inside Ellie. But a fractured confidence lingered still, echoing through her mind. What if the worst happened? What if they couldn't find the puppy? The time ticked on, and everything around them felt like a clock winding down to a crucial moment. Then, out of nowhere, an unexpected shout rang through the air. Over here. I think I see him. Ellie's heart raced as she spun around, hope igniting once again. But who would be standing at the center of this unfolding drama? As they hastened towards the sound, Ellie wondered if answers would finally come or if deeper mysteries lurked just ahead. Amidst the clamor of running feet and hopeful shouts, Ellie pushed through the gathering crowd, her heart pounding with anticipation. Every whisper of movement felt electric, charged with the promise of something significant unfolding. Who had called out? Was it true? Could the lost puppy finally be found? Over here. It was Lucy, her voice piercing through the noise, filled with urgency and excitement. She stood by a chain-link fence, pointing frantically. As Ellie rushed to her side, the sight before them sent a rush of warmth through her. There, nestled close to a pile of discarded leaves, was the puppy, fluffy white fur glinting in the dim afternoon light, little brown patch on his ear as vivid as the drawing Lucy had made. He looked up, wide-eyed and hesitant, as if exploring a world he thought he might never see again. Look! That's him! Lucy cried, tears of joy brimming in her eyes. Ellie took a deep breath, her heart swelling with overwhelming relief. She didn't even think, she dashed towards the puppy, bending low as she called out softly. Hey buddy, come here. It's okay. The puppy's ears perked up, and with a tentative wag of his tail, he took a few hesitant steps forward. Just the way he looked at her, it was as if he recognized that someone was finally there to help him. Behind her, the crowd buzzed with excitement, a symphony of cheers and encouragement. "You got this!" someone yelled. Mrs. Henderson's voice rang out, filled with the kind of warmth that could thaw any winter chill. "You can do it, Ellie." In that moment, Ellie felt a simple yet profound connection. It wasn't just about the puppy, it was about community, about healing, and about love. She reached out a hand, her fingers trembling as they brushed against the warmth of his fur. "There you are, you sweet thing. You're safe now." Each word resonated softly against the growing crescendo of hope around her. Finally, gathering his courage, the puppy bounded toward her, tail wagging with relentless joy. Ellie scooped him up into her arms, cradling his small body against her chest. "We found you!" she exclaimed, laughter bubbling from deep within. At that moment it felt as though the sun broke through the cloudy skies above, casting golden rays upon them. Lucy rushed forward, flinging her arms around them, both a hug filled with pure affection and gratitude. "We did it! We really did it!" Joy and relief mingled in the air like fireworks exploding against the twilight. As the cheers erupted, Ellie turned toward her father amidst the crowd, his eyes shimmering with tears of pride. The connection they were forging felt inseparable, as if the fabric of their bond had tightened through this shared experience. "Let us get him back to the community center for the event," Ellie shouted, her voice ringing with determination. "We can't wait to show everyone that kindness makes a real difference." Together, they walked back, Ellie cradling the puppy in her arms, the crowd forming a protective circle around her, laughter and chatter mingling with the crisp winter air. As they moved, a sense of unity enveloped them. A community that once felt fractured was now knitted together by love, empathy, and shared purpose. Inside the center, the spirit was electric. Mrs. Henderson greeted them with a radiant smile. "Oh, look at him! Isn't he perfect?" she cooed, stroking his fur gently. The room erupted into applause, laughter brightening the atmosphere like the first blooms of spring after a harsh winter. As their fundraising event began, Ellie stood at the forefront, not just as the girl who saved a puppy but as a beacon of change, the harbinger of hope. Her voice filled with confidence, she shared Lucy's story amidst laughter and the sound of rustling flyers. People rallied together. There was a bake sale, dog games, and even a small adoption corner where Lucy reached out to those wanting to provide a loving family for the little ones who were still in need. It became a rich tapestry of togetherness that bound them all tighter than any ribbon could. The sight of her father helping at the registration table brought tears to Ellie's eyes. Maybe, just maybe, this was the start of a new chapter for them. The warmth of their shared mission melted away old wounds, setting the perfect stage for reconciliation and healing. As Ellie looked around, her eyes searching for Lucy, she found her amidst a group of children, giggling and chatting about the puppy they had saved together. Watching them laugh, the realization washed over her. This was the moment that redefined everything. This was a celebration of resilience, compassion, and community. A wave of hope crashed over her, and she knew this was just the beginning. They had fought for that puppy, but in doing so, they had come together to rediscover their own light. Ellie felt her heart swell with joy as she looked at the animations around her. They were not just bringing a puppy home, they were truly bringing a community together, and as the night wore on, every laugh, every cheer echoed an anthem of the magic created through hope, connection, and love. It was a reminder that, sometimes, the smallest gestures could lead to the most significant transformations. So, if you felt the power of hope, community, and love tonight, this is your moment to show support. You need to subscribe now to not miss this journey of kindness and transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others discover these heartwarming stories. Comment your reactions and feelings about this joyful ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this amazing transformation. Let us keep the spirit of hope alive together.